I didn't believe in haunted objects. Not until I watched my living room security footage at 2:13 a.m. and saw my daughter's doll standing in the middle of the floor. The problem was, when I went to sleep, the doll was locked inside a plastic storage bin with the lid snapped shut. So how did it get out? And why? Did it look like it was facing the camera like it knew I was watching? Door, small two-bedroom townhouse on the edge of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Quiet street. Mostly retirees and a few young families. The kind of place where the loudest thing at night is the neighbor's sprinkler clicking on. My routine was simple. Work from home. Dinner around 7 p.m. Dishwasher. Check locks, front door, back door. Then I'd do what every anxious parent does. I'd peek into my daughter Lily's room, make sure she was actually asleep. Lily was 6. The type of kid who asked serious questions with a serious face. What happens if a house forgets you? Do shadows get tired? Stuff like that. That week she'd become obsessed with a doll my sister mailed her, one of those vintage-looking ones with painted lashes and a stiff little smile that never changed. The tag said Mara like it was a person. Lily carried it everywhere for 3 days. Then on the 4th day, she stopped. Not gradually, not like getting bored. She just left it on the couch like it burned her. When I asked why, she kept her eyes on her cereal bowl and said, very softly, "She stands up when you're not looking." I actually laughed. Not mean, just reflexively. Kids say weird things. They test reality. They copy phrases from cartoons. I told myself it was normal. But I still didn't like the doll. That face. Those glassy eyes that caught the light. The way it sat too straight, like it didn't belong in the mess of normal life. So that night, after Lily went to sleep, I put the doll in a storage bin in the hallway closet. I did it carefully, like I was packing something fragile. Then I snapped the lid shut. Rather CERN sort core. I wish that was the end of Ver's sort core. I wish that was the end of it. I wish that was the end of it. The next morning, I woke up at 6:38 a.m. to my phone buzzing, motion alert from my indoor camera. We had the camera because a package got stolen last year. It wasn't fancy. Just a cheap one pointed at the living room and front door. The alert said, "Motion detected, living room." I expected to see a cat. We don't have a cat. I clicked the clip anyway, still half asleep. The living room was dark, the only light the blue glow of the microwave clock in the kitchen. Everything looked normal at first. Then I noticed something off. The storage bin lid in the hallway, visible through the open doorway, was slightly tilted, like it hadn't been pushed down all the way. And the doll wasn't in the closet. It was on the couch, sitting upright, facing the camera, not slumped, not tossed, placed. The clip ended after 15 seconds. I stared at my phone, waiting for my brain to catch up. Then I got up and walked down the hallway barefoot, step by step, as if moving too fast would break something. The closet was open. The bin was on the floor. The lid was on but crooked. I lifted it. The doll was not inside. It was on the couch exactly like in the video, legs together, hands resting on its lap like a polite guest. My first thought was Lily. Maybe she got up in the night. Maybe she missed it. But Lily was asleep. I checked. Still curled under her blanket, mouth slightly open, completely out. I stood in her doorway and tried to imagine her walking past my room at 2:13 a.m., opening the closet quietly, pulling out the doll, placing it on the couch, then going back to bed without making a sound. Possible. But it didn't feel like her. Kids don't place things neatly when they're half asleep. They drop them. They drag them. They don't sit dolls upright facing cameras. So I did what adults do when something doesn't fit. I reached for the easiest explanation. Maybe I didn't snap the lid properly. Maybe it fell open. Maybe the doll rolled out. That's what I told myself while I made coffee. That's what I told myself while I picked up the doll and put it back in the bin. And this time, I pushed the lid down until it clicked all the way around. Hard. One vor. But that wasn't the worst part. But that wasn't the worst part. But that wasn't the worst purpose. Same place, Lolity. Same closet. Because I wanted to prove to myself it was nothing. The next night, I left the bin on purpose. I checked the camera feed before bed. Everything normal. I woke up at 3:07 am without a reason. No nightmare. No sound. Just awake. The house felt colder than usual, the kind of cold that seeps into your teeth. I lay there listening. Refrigerator hum. A car passing far away. Nothing else. Then, very faint. Something like a soft plastic tap. Not loud, not repeated. Just a single sound like someone gently flicked a hard surface. I held my breath. Silence returned. My mind did that annoying thing where it tries to build a story out of nothing. Pipes. House settling. Maybe the camera. I forced myself back to sleep. Morning came with that familiar phone vibration. Motion detected. Living room, 2:59 am. I watched the clip with my thumb hovering like I could stop it from being real. The living room was dim again, same microwave glow, same stillness. Then the hallway closet door, barely visible, moved. Not a swing, not a drift, a deliberate shift like a hand nudged it open an inch. Something small and pale appeared at the bottom of the frame. The doll. It wasn't on the couch this time. It was standing near the hallway entry. Standing. The doll's knees were straight. Its feet were planted. It was angled slightly toward the camera like it had turned its body. And for a second, I thought it had moved during the clip. But the camera only recorded in bursts, so I didn't see the in-between. The clip ended before it reached the couch. I replayed it 3 times. My scalp prickled. My mouth went dry. Because I remembered exactly how I'd put it away. In a bin. In a closet. Lid clicked shut. And now the clip suggested it didn't just end up somewhere. It came out. The kind of movement that implies intention. I walked downstairs slower this time. I kept expecting to see it in a different place. Like it had gotten there while I wasn't looking. But it was exactly where the clip ended. Standing. In the hallway. Facing the camera. My breath came out a little shaky. I reached down and grabbed it. It was colder than the room. Not freezing, just unnaturally cool, like it had been kept in a basement. The hair smelled faintly like old fabric. Dust and something sweet underneath it, like a thrift store. I carried it to the kitchen and set it on the counter. And I told myself something else, something more logical. Maybe Lily's sleepwalking. Maybe I'm not waking up. Maybe I'm doing it. That thought sat in my stomach like a stone. So that day, I bought a second camera, one aimed directly at the hallway closet. I also put a strip of clear packing tape across the storage bin lid. Not a lot. Just enough that you'd have to peel it to open it. Then I wrote a tiny mark on the tape with a black pen. A signature. A way to know if it had been touched. That night, before bed, I checked Lily's room. She was awake, sitting cross-legged, staring at the wall. "Hey," I whispered, trying to keep my voice light. "Everything okay?" She turned her head slowly and said, "She doesn't like the closet." I felt a chill rise along my arms. "How do you know that?" I asked. Lily shrugged once, like it was obvious. She told me, underkund. Not underkund. That's when things got worse. The chories he flower, and then the questions of it was immening fac, then in the read, soperate nat of all of the versiful that naturals. Kearley's maple of the live and the vine accline the part sept. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the doll's face, smooth, calm, indifferent. At 1:41 am, I checked my phone. No alerts yet. At 2:26 am, my phone buzzed. Motion detected. Hallway camera. I didn't move. I stayed in bed, heart starting to thud harder. I opened the clip. The hallway was dark but clearer because this camera had better night vision. The closet door was fully shut. You could see the storage bin on the closet floor. You could even see the strip of tape glinting slightly. Nothing happened for 5 seconds. Then the closet door handle turned. Not quickly. Slow. Measured, like someone wanted to be quiet. The closet door opened a few inches. A thin, dark gap. And from that gap, the doll's face appeared first. It leaned out, not falling. Leaning. Then it moved again. And I understood something that made my stomach flip. It wasn't coming out. It was peeking. Like it was checking if the hallway was clear. The clip ended. I watched it again. The tape on the storage bin lid, still visible, looked intact in the clip. So how could the doll be in front of the bin if the bin was still sealed? I sat up in bed so fast I got dizzy. My first instinct was to go down and look, right then in the middle of the night. My second instinct, stronger, was not to. I stayed upstairs, listening, waiting for another sound. Minutes passed. No footsteps. No tap, no creak. At 6:12 a.m., I finally went downstairs. The closet door was open a few inches. I could see the bin on the floor. The tape was still there. My signature line still perfect. I crouched and looked inside the closet, keeping my movements slow. The doll was not on the floor, not on the shelf, not in the bin. And then, as calmly as if it belonged there, I saw it. Standing behind the closet door. The moment I swung the door fully open, it was right there, positioned like it had been waiting, inches from my face. I froze. My body did that thing where it decides fear is more important than oxygen. For a moment, my brain refused to form a thought. The doll's painted lashes cast tiny shadows on its cheeks. Its glass eyes reflected my own face in miniature, distorted and close. I stepped back hard enough that my shoulder hit the hallway wall. Then I grabbed it with both hands, rougher than before. It was still cold. And I noticed something new, a faint smudge on its cheek, like a fingerprint, and in the corner of its mouth, barely visible, something darker, like dried moisture. I carried it to the kitchen and set it on the table, and I stared at it, stared like I could force it to blink. I wanted to throw it away. I wanted to drive it somewhere far and leave it in a dumpster behind a gas station and never think about it again. But then Lily padded into the kitchen in her socks, rubbing her eyes. She looked at the doll, then at me, and said, "Why are you mad at her?" "I'm not mad," I said automatically. Lily tilted her head. She said, "You keep moving her because you don't want her to watch." My throat tightened. "I don't move her," I said. Lily's expression didn't change. "Yes, you do." I stared at her. "Lily, do you get up at night?" She blinked slowly. Then she said, very softly, "I don't have to, wart-hort-core. I wish I could say I understood what she meant." I wish I could say I understood what she meant wartensualizes earlier events. That afternoon, I called my sister. I tried to sound normal. "Hey," I said. "Where did you get that doll you sent Lily?" There was a pause. Then my sister said, "Which doll?" "The one you mailed," I said. "The vintage one, Mara." Another pause. Longer. I didn't send a doll," she said carefully. "I sent a book and some stickers." My skin went hot, like embarrassment, like anger. "Yes, you did," I snapped, instantly regretting my tone. "It came in your package, Sam," she said, using the name only family used, I swear to you. I didn't. I pulled up the delivery email. I checked the tracking number. I checked the photo the courier took at drop-off. Then I did something I hadn't done since the day it arrived. I went into the hallway closet and dug through the cardboard box we'd kept. And there it was, packing paper, the book, stickers. No doll. My hands started to tremble as I checked the box again like it could appear if I looked hard enough. Nothing. I went back to the kitchen where the doll sat on the table. It looked exactly the same. Calm smile, painted lashes. But now it wasn't a gift. Now it was something else. A foreign object that had entered my house without a sender. And suddenly the past week rearranged itself in my head like puzzle pieces snapping into place. Lily stopping abruptly, her refusing to touch it. Her saying it stands up when you're not looking. Her saying it told her things. She hadn't been imagining. She'd been warning me. I turned the doll over in my hands and felt along the back of its dress. And my fingers touched something rigid beneath the fabric. Something not part of the stuffing. A hard rectangle. I held my breath and peeled back the seam carefully with a butter knife. Inside, wrapped in old cloth, was a small plastic object. A memory card. One of those tiny micro SD cards. For a second, I couldn't process what I was holding, then reality hit like cold water. Someone had put a memory card inside the doll. Inside my house. And the cameras. The haunting, the doll watching, it suddenly felt less supernatural and more intimate in the worst way. Like someone had been using the doll. Using it to place something inside my home. Using it like a container. I stared at that memory card and thought about my daughter's room. About the hallway. About the quiet street. About the feeling of being awake at 3 a.m. for no reason. A different kind of fear replaced the old one. Not ghosts. People. I took the memory card to my laptop. My hands were sweaty enough that I had to wipe them on my jeans. I inserted it. A folder popped up. No labels. No dates. Just files. Video files. My stomach dropped. I clicked the first one. It was a clip filmed from a low angle, grainy, like from inside a bag. Then the image steadied, and I realized what I was looking at. My living room. From a viewpoint that wasn't my camera, a viewpoint close to the floor, close to the couch, as if the camera was hidden inside the doll's chest, looking out through tiny holes. I watched myself in the video moving through my own home, unaware. Then I watched Lily appear, in her pajamas, hugging the doll, her face close to it, whispering. And the audio, faint but there, caught her tiny voice saying, "Please don't go in the closet." He gets mad. My blood went cold. I paused the video. Rewind. Play again. "Please don't go in the closet." He gets mad. My throat closed. Because I didn't know who he was. I lived alone with my daughter. There was no he. Or Sir Quickers last night. And then I found the newest file recorded last night. 12:50, 14:20 ets intense climax lol. Emotional, not melodramatic. The newest file was timestamped 2:58 a.m. I clicked it. The view was the same, low, peeking from the doll's body, aimed toward the hallway. At first, nothing. Then the hallway darkened slightly, as if someone blocked a distant light. A shape entered the frame. Not fully, just a portion. A pant leg. A knee. Someone crouching, so close to the doll's face that the video blurred. Then a hand came into view. An adult hand. It reached toward the doll carefully, almost gently, like touching a sleeping animal. The fingers adjusted the doll's head, turned it, so it faced the hallway closet. The hand withdrew. And for one awful second, the camera caught something else. A partial reflection in the doll's glass eye. A face, not clear, not full. But I recognized something that made my heart seize. The curve of the cheek, the shape of the brow. It looked like me. Not exactly, but close enough to make my skin crawl. Then the figure moved out of frame and the hallway returned to emptiness. The clip ended. I sat there staring at my laptop screen, my mouth slightly open, unable to swallow. My mind tried to reject what I saw. A reflection can distort. A lens can lie. A shadow can become a face if your brain wants it. But I remembered the closet handle turning in my security clip. I remembered the peeking, the carefulness. Not a doll moving by itself, a person moving it, quietly, inside my house. My hands went numb. I turned my head slowly toward the hallway like the thing I feared might be standing there already. Everything in the house felt suddenly staged, like a set someone else had access to. I stood up. The floor creaked under my weight, and the sound felt too loud, like an announcement. I walked to Lily's room. Her door was slightly open. I pushed it. She was asleep, curled on her side. I exhaled shakily. Then I noticed it. On her dresser. The doll, sitting upright, facing the doorway. Facing me. My stomach dropped into my shoes. I hadn't brought the doll upstairs. I hadn't moved it from the kitchen table since taking out the memory card. I stepped into the room, slow and quiet, and stared at it. Its smile looked the same, but now it felt personal, like someone had placed it there deliberately, like a message. My eyes moved to Lily. Her blanket rose and fell with her breathing. And then, so small I almost missed it, her lips moved, not waking, not opening her eyes, just a whisper pushed out in sleep. Don't look. I stood frozen. My heart pounded hard enough to hurt. Then the closet door inside Lily's room, her little closet with the sliding panel, shifted. Just a fraction. A soft scrape. And from inside that darkness, something exhaled. Not a loud breath. A careful, controlled breath. Like someone trying not to be heard. I didn't scream. I didn't run. My body went cold and heavy like it belonged to someone else. I reached for Lily, gently, trying not to shake. I slid my hands under her and lifted her. Her head lolled against my shoulder. I backed toward the hallway without turning my back on the closet. The closet panel shifted again. A little more. I kept backing. Step. Step. The hallway light was off, but the dim night glow from the street cut through the blinds. I walked backward all the way to the stairs. And I didn't breathe until I hit the bottom step. Then I moved fast. Not running, because running makes noise. I carried Lily down, grabbed my phone, my keys, my wallet. I didn't grab shoes. I didn't grab the laptop. I didn't grab anything that would slow me down. Outside, the night air was wet and sharp. I got Lily into the car and locked the doors. My fingers slipped on the keys twice. And as I started the engine, I looked back at the house. Upstairs, in Lily's window, the curtain moved slightly. Not wind, a slow parting, like someone pulled it aside. And then it fell back into place. Oh. I thought calling the police would make me feel safer. It didn't. Luz searched the house. They found nothing. No forced entry. No fingerprints that meant anything. No strange man in a closet. The memory card mattered, sure. They took it. Logged it. But the officer kept looking at me like the most likely explanation was still me. Stress, lack of sleep, overreacting. And I understood why. Because when we went back inside the next afternoon, me, 2 officers, and my neighbor standing at the door, everything looked normal. Except one thing. In the living room, the indoor camera had been turned slightly, tilted upward, like someone had adjusted it. And on the couch, sitting neatly with its hands on its lap, was the doll. The seam on its back had been stitched again, not perfectly, but closed. And taped to its dress with a little piece of clear tape was a note, written in careful block letters. Just 5 words. You move too much at night. I didn't tell the officers about the note. I don't even know why. Maybe because some part of me understood the message wasn't meant for them. It was meant for me. And sometimes, late at night, when Lily is asleep in the room beside mine and the house feels too quiet, I catch myself lying perfectly still, holding my breath, listening. Because the worst part isn't wondering if the doll moves on its own. The worst part is knowing. Someone else might be moving it, and they already know where the cameras are.